Well, that fucking sucked. Okay, so I've got the brake drum off the front driver's side. The left side or passenger side is completely like stuck on, impossible to get off. It's gonna require. This took me 4 hours to get this off. I struggled with it for a very long time before I figured out to drill out the two studs that hold the shoes on with a drill, which I have right there. And once those were out, the shoes were still stuck to the drum. It rusted to it. But at least I was able to get a pry bar, get that pry bar right there, and stick it against the backing plate and the drum and keep pulling out back and forth, both sides, bottom, top, all that shit. And eventually, after about an hour, it flopped off. I think my wheel cylinder here is bad. I'm trying not to get dirty again. I just washed my hands. I was about to go eat, but late dinner. Because it'll come out, but it won't go in any further. It's like stuck. So I'm thinking I gotta get new wheel cylinders, which isn't gonna be very fun because that nut on the back of this is completely seized, and I really don't think it's going to come off. So we'll see what happens with that. But wheel cylinder, probably bad, replacing it. However, my pads, they got like some weird wear patterns on here, but I'm not sure that'll actually impact the performance of them. They don't seem to be, look at it. They look fairly new. They were probably done back when the wheel bearings were done, back in 2014. I'll have to look at my receipts folder and see if the brakes were done recently. But the backs were done very recently. The back ones, when I got those drums off, came off no problem. And they were, brand new pretty much. Even the springs still had the shine to them of the paint. This obviously was done a little bit older, but fairly recently as well. The drum is original, and it's completely worn down right in here to nothing, essentially. This is rust. Oops, camera focus. This chunky stuff is rust, but I don't know if it'll show up on camera. All of this dull stuff is like the backing plate of the drum. It's like completely worn down. So of course the star wheel was completely adjusted as far out as it would go, and that probably caused the wheel cylinder to fail as well. So I will be replacing the drums. They're about $120 a piece, not cheap, and I have to special order them from like Chicago or something because they just aren't very common. It's going to take a few days for me to get that, but yeah, drums are getting replaced, front drums anyway. My springs, just like the pads, or just like the shoes, don't look all that bad. You can tell that's a yellow one, and there's a blue one in there, and a red one, and I think that's a green one. They're fairly recognizable. They're not too dirty, they're not too rusty. Like I said, this kit, or this brake drum, was probably done somewhat recently. So I'll see about what some more professional colleagues of mine say about that weird wear pattern on those. But if those are good to use, I'm not going to bother getting new shoes. I'm going to reuse the old ones. But I will probably just get a new spring kit just for the hell of it. Definitely getting new drums, and definitely getting a new wheel cylinder for it. But yeah, if you guys are struggling with front drums that are sticking, I will tell you how I did mine a little bit more in depth here. So these pins, if you've ever done a drum break, if you've never done a drum break, I recommend you don't start with the front drums on old cars like this. But these pins hold in these things with those caps on them that go through the back of your backing plate, stick out like that, and hold the shoe in place. Well, the shoes were rusted. You can see the line, boom, right there, and then it's kind of divergent. You can't really tell for sure. I think right there's a little line. They were rusted in place. They were stuck on. When I pulled this drum off, the shoes came with it, which is disturbing as though it may be, but that's how it happened. So basically, to drill, I drilled those out. Actually, what happened is I drilled most of it out, and then I knocked the rest of it off with a chisel, which is why that's sitting right there. And then once that was, the drum was no longer stuck in place, and I could take my pry bar and pry up against it was the outer edge of here and there, keep prying it, around the four corners of the deal, and eventually you'll get it out enough where you can see the ridge of the inner part, and then you stick your pry bar in there and do the same thing, and eventually it will come off. Like I said, it did take 4 hours. It probably, once I figured out how to do this, it probably only took about an hour and a half, but the other side's going to take more than that because it's completely locked up on there. But yeah, that's how I did it. So there is a YouTube video. I will try to find it and link it in the description when I upload this, that I used as a reference that kind of helped me figure out how to be the most efficient about this. But yeah, that's what we got going on here for the brakes. I'll see you when I see you.